Few hours after President Donald Trump of the United States, US and his state officials brokered a full and immediate ceasefire truce between India and Pakistan, leading to massive joy of celebrations for Indian and Pakistani residents in Kashmir. The two countries again have picked up weapons and resumed war, with India Foreign Secretary Shri Vikram Misri accusing Pakistan of violating the ceasefire agreement hours after it was brokered, stated this in a video press release made available to the public via WhatsApp channel through the office of the spokesperson of India Ministry of Defence. The office of the Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan, Azam Munir, in a tweet through his verified X social media account few minutes ago stated that, from Peshawar airport once again, warplanes took off, and few seconds after, he tweeted again that, Pakistan has hit the Indian city of Sirsa. Pakistan's Fateh 1 and Fateh 2 in action, signaling the resumption of the war that entered its new dimension early on Saturday morning, with both countries firing missiles into each other's territories, which resulted in the killing of over 5 persons on Saturday, after the decades-long conflicts reawoke last month when some suspected terrorists killed over 26 India tourists at Kashmir, leading to over 2 weeks of build-up tensions before the two countries began the large-scale war on Saturday. According to India Foreign Secretary Shri Vikram Misri, Pakistan committed repeated violations of the understanding both countries arrived at earlier today between the Directors General of Military Operations of India and Pakistan, saying, Indian soldiers have been instructed to respond to any provocation along the infantry battalion and line of control. The U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, had earlier, after the ceasefire was brokered, said that, over the past 48 hours, VP Vance and I have engaged with senior Indian and Pakistani officials, including Prime Ministers Narendra Modi and Shehbaz Sharif, External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar, Chief of Army Staff Azam Munir, and National Security Advisors Ajit Doval and Azam Malik. I am pleased to announce the governments of India and Pakistan have agreed to an immediate ceasefire and to start talks on a broad set of issues at a neutral site. We commend Prime Ministers Modi and Sharif on their wisdom, prudence, and statesmanship in choosing the path of peace. Office of the Spokesperson, India Ministry of Defence, in earlier numbers of tweets, stated that, in a grave escalation, Pakistan launched multi-vector attacks along the western border using drones, UCAVs, artillery and missiles, targeting over 26 locations from Srinagar to Nalia. Indian Air Force bases at Udhampur, Pathankot, Adampur and Bhuj sustained limited damage. In a cowardly act, Pakistan also struck civilian infrastructure including Medicare centers and schools. India responded with swift precision strikes on identified military targets at Rafiki, Chaklala, Rahim Yar Khan and more, ensuring minimal collateral damage. The Indian Army effectively countered line of control intrusions, causing extensive damage to Pakistan's forces. Troop movements on the Pakistani side signal intent to escalate. India remains in a high state of operational readiness, committed to non-escalation, provided there is mutual restraint. As a response to Pakistan's misadventures of attempted drone strikes on the night of 8 and the 9th of May 2025 in multiple cities of Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab, the Indian Army conducted a coordinated fire assault on terrorist launchpads, pulverizing and razing them to cinders. The terrorist launchpads, located close to the line of control, were a hub for planning and executing terror attacks against Indian civilians and security forces in the past. The Indian Army's swift and decisive action has dealt a significant blow to terrorist infrastructure and capabilities. The recent claims made by Pakistan regarding the destruction of Indian military facilities, infrastructure, and the alleged missile attacks on Afghanistan are nothing but lies and propaganda. Allegations about the destruction of Air Force stations in Sirsa, Suratgarh, and the S-400 base in Adampur are completely false, designed to mislead the international community. Pakistan continues to attempt at sowing discord among India's communities. The shelling of Rajouri, which killed a senior official, along with the ongoing targeting of civilian infrastructure, underscores Pakistan's malicious intent. Pakistani officials had earlier said a military operation had been launched against India, and multiple bases in the country had been hit. Local media reported that shops and homes were damaged and at least 5 civilians were killed in Pakistani shelling in Indian-administered Kashmir, citing police statements. Times of India had earlier reported that tensions flared as Pakistan's shelling in Rajaury killed J&K official Raj Kumar Thapa. India responded forcefully, targeting and destroying multiple terror drone launch pads inside Pakistan. Officials confirmed the drones were launched across the line of control, while 3 others were critically injured. Mortal remains of Additional District Development Commissioner Raj Kumar Thapa have been brought to his residence, who lost his life after a Pakistani shell hit his residence in Rajaury, Jammu and Kashmir, according to the Times of India. Reuters international news agency had also reported earlier on Saturday that Pakistan and India launched strikes and counter-strikes against each other's military installations on Saturday, prompting US calls for the nuclear-armed neighbors to begin talks and defuse their escalating conflict, the most intense since 1999. Fears that the country's nuclear arsenals might come into play spiked when the Pakistan military said a top military and civil body overseeing its nuclear weapons would meet, but the defense minister later said no such meeting was scheduled. Officials from both sides showed a willingness for now to take a step back following the day's exchanges. Pakistan's foreign minister, Mohammad Ishaq Dar, told local television that if India stops here, then we will consider to stop here. The Indian military said regarding Pakistan's military attacks on Saturday that all hostile actions have been effectively countered and responded to appropriately. Analysts and diplomats have long feared that conflict between the rivals could escalate into the use of nuclear weapons, in one of the world's most dangerous and most populated nuclear flashpoint regions. Unlike India, Pakistan does not have a no first use doctrine. Pakistan Defense Minister Khawaja Asif played down any immediate nuclear threat, calling it a very distant possibility. We shouldn't even discuss it in the immediate context, he told ARY-TV. Before we get to that point, I think temperatures will come down. No meeting has happened of the National Command Authority, nor is any such meeting scheduled, according to Reuters.
For the last few hours, there have been repeated violations of the understanding arrived at earlier this evening between the Directors General of Military Operations of India and Pakistan. This is a breach of the understanding arrived at earlier today. The armed forces are giving an adequate and appropriate response to these violations, and we take very, very serious notice of these violations. We call upon Pakistan to take appropriate steps to address these violations and deal with the situation with seriousness and responsibility. The armed forces are maintaining a strong vigil on the situation. They have been given instructions to deal strongly with any instances of a repetition of the violations of the borders along the international border as well as the line of control. Thank you.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.